Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. That's right, I said it. Much love, not fear, going out. So for you to receive to you, the beautiful, that means the evolving, the opening, the catchy to the eye, the attractive, that which is uplifting and exhilarating and excited and is moving on and progressing and is content at peace and harmony. Much love going out to you, the beautiful empowered harmonizers. So what does it mean to be empowered? What does it mean to be empowered, especially after a toxic relationship, a toxic culture, a toxic workplace, a toxic boss, colleague, or spouse, whether it's male or female? How do you sort of really get over that hump? Is there a hump? Is it a depression? Does it have you scattered all out? We are finding ourselves in some very chaotic times. So it's like really, many viewers ask, basically, how do I process this? What went on? They're asking a lot of these questions. And eventually these questions will lead them to answers, but sometimes not in a good place in their life. So they're not happy. They're not jubilant. They're still stuck on processing. They have a hurt, a wound that needs attention, that needs mending, that needs really, sort of pulling some healing wound, salve or sauce over it. So in order to blanket the entire wound itself and really heal it for good, how do I move on? And a lot of people find themselves stuck. I mean, especially now in the pandemic, there is so much sort of chaos going on and so many influential images that can be very negative, disturbing, yet people become sort of desensitized to. And then it's sort of feeding a larger feeling of chaos and sort of oftentimes feeling stuck, lonely, isolated, especially if the lifestyle that you had before where you used to just go out, it's just not there. It isn't access to you, either due to pandemic restrictions, or you've gotten the pandemic has caused things to exasperate or get worse, or it's got you questioning some really good, important things. So how do you look at your questioning? How do you move beyond sort of a toxic relationship, a toxic culture? How do you know what's good for you in your best interests? Who your true friends are? Who your true companions are, and in fact, how do you even determine what that is anyway? What is in your best interest? What is at the core that you can operate from? Unfortunately, in a disturbed society relationship, there becomes a separation from that, meaning a sort of shutting off, if you will, where people are, if you're in a state of, disharmony, which means you don't feel empowered, you don't feel happy, you don't feel you have direction. It's because you don't have some direction in some part of your life. And this is, giving you a feeling of anxiety or frustration. Basically, at the root of that is feeling like I'm really disappointed. I feel inadequacy. I can't cope with this. No one told me this. So you're feeling this sort of lost in the sauce feeling, or sort of a feeling that you don't feel that you have a good grounding or yardstick on it. You don't have a good handle, as they say, and other people will perpetuate your unhappiness. Society will perpetuate your unhappiness. Workplaces, toxicity, and we'll get right into that. And how do you sort of identify and get rid of that, and then sort of be at your best self and come to amends within that, meaning sort of you don't always sort of feel this tug of war or a rip within you, because that is what toxicity will do. It'll cause you to feel sick, stifled, questioning, wondering, is there something wrong? Why me? You're feeling moody, unheard, basically distressed. something that you are uncomfortable with, something that is still present, a source of discomfort. And it can be sourced, seeded, or triggered from a certain maladaptive relationship in your life, in your inhabitants, wherever you may find it. So toxic meaning it's just sort of not allowing you to liberate and be yourself. In other words, do you have to always impress? Do you always have to watch yourself? Are they always sort of putting themselves in a special light, and slowly and gradually they're diminishing the light on others? Or there's a part of you that feels less than accepted or caught up to where you want to be. And it's this feeling being like, there's something in me that's left behind. There's something in me that's trying to call for my attention. I'm not in the regular flow. It's like I've got to pull over. And especially when this life is so toxic, it's like you're seen as not good enough if you can't text fast enough. Where did that start? I mean, who came up with that? Was it Apple? I mean, was it your friendship? Was it your inner circle? Was it your culture where you're, especially nowadays, guys, you have to be careful how you're evaluated. It's just like, and those evaluatory relationships oftentimes are created conceptually by other entities, people, or organizations that are trying to get their leg up while sort of utilizing a mass agreement or adherence to them in order to get them where they want to be. In other words, you need this will make you cool, this will make you accepted. This is, otherwise, if you're not, you don't belong. You're not cool, you're extrasized, you're isolated, you're not in the in group. You are too cool for school, you're too dumb to eat a plum. Whatever, you're too old. These are all erroneous messages that the culture feeds out. It has nothing to do with reality. See, I really studied this in depth in psychology. And really, as it got into marketing, back in the day, and I say back in the day, I mean, the day is still the day. The day will always be the day. So you are not like left behind. But if you feel part of you was left behind because part of you you had to leave out in the cold, and it's like, I'll catch you later. And then like you kept checking in on yourself, and other things came up, other pressures, that separated you from like really being able to deal with things in the moment or whatever it was that was generally distracting or traumatizing or evaluatory, meaning inner judgment, your inner locus of control was corrupted, ground down, or something was made to be malevolent within you, as if your own sense of control was not empowered or enabled, appreciated, respected. You had to do, or experience something else than that. So that's kind of like, if you're around, it's like there's very important parallels that you can understand in toxicity. If you understand why it keeps people stunted and sort of really as just sort of pawns or supply or levers to prop up either this other individual, this male, female, relationship. Maybe you're married, it's a sibling, or it's been very, very distressing, and it's created a lot of negative ripples in your effect. That's how you can know. I mean, it's like as if you don't deserve to be and happy. Where did that come from? And where did it come from that you're, if you don't have an Apple device, if you have anything else, you're not as. I mean, who started that, and really who's advocating that, and how true is that? But you don't want to shatter that glass ceiling, because too many people are in the group think, are in that attitude. Yeah, if we all get the Apple, it's just like, if it just becomes like the tipping point. It becomes like the change that they want to see. That's the change that Apple wants to see. It's the change that Facebook wants to see. Yeah, we're all connected. Yeah, and so is all the data that we're massing billions of dollars on. See, but that's not, you have to really see what's underneath it all. Just like back in the day, and the day was still a day. Hey, it's, if you didn't have if you were a white or Caucasian, and if you didn't have a tan if you didn't like go on vacation, then it's like you were left out, like you were missing something, or other certain things would have nothing to do with truth or reality, but that people are dumbfounded, and that they still carry around with them to this day. And you can term these narcissistic, psychopathic, toxic, whatever, comfortable societal accepted term you want to agree with. But just remind yourself that the terms of your agreement are your imprisonment also. So if you only look as far as what the culture tells you, then your happiness will only go as far as what the culture tells you. And like, you might live in a beautiful farm in Vermont and everything is hunky-dory and you're Ben and Jerry, but it has nothing to do with society. You're just churning out whatever it is you've got, and that is enough. In other words, what I'm trying to say is oftentimes the society will give negative messages as a way of controlling or manipulating others to be conditioned according to the behavior that company, person, entity wants to be receiving. So, advertising, is the mass of that. In other words, advertise this, you are cool if, and they put things into categories, binary, black or white thinking, yes or no. This causes a lot of stress and anxiety. This is the playground of the toxicity, the toxic boss, the toxic company, the one who's getting ahead, the one who makes you feel that you're all connected, but then it creates a whole new society that you didn't really know that was forming. I mean, the Facebook society, I do not participate in. To me, it's like a prison or a cage. No, thank you. I am not going to willingly walk into a prison and serve a sentence for which a crime I did not commit. The need to belong. What does it make people do? Oh my God, the pictures that people post of themselves in desperate situations to be liked, male and female. Male, whether it's look at my watch, look at my boat, my yacht, my house, are generally, or my equipment, are what they're boasting and bragging and pulling all out. It becomes an SHITT show after a while, and it doesn't have anything to do with your sense of worth or what's beneficial to you. It catches your eye and it sort of removes you from control. It sort of causes you to be distracted or diverted, or what you feel is interested. I mean, the amount of sort of messages that are insinuated are very important to decipher for yourself. I.e., why? Why would you want to do this? Because, for example, this sort of falsely created society like that you might see in Facebook or Instagram that makes people do very foolish things. I mean, getting all this or that, the woman revealing, how, so-and-so greets the morning with a beautiful sunrise in their bikini. I mean, why is a bikini the way to start the day? Why is it look at my watch the way to start the day? Why is it, oh my gosh, what hair extensions can I get? What kind of plastic surgery? What kind of, what sort of empire? And it becomes a very high maintenance. If you listen to people, maybe the young people, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s even, it can become a very high maintenance way of living. In other words, did I post enough? Is my news feed going through? Am I getting enough? Am I at the top of the thing, the chain? Am I the one with the top? So it becomes this whole new organized society, much as a inmate society would become at a prison. So-and-so mayor, the big guy, the 6'11" guy, who's like 450 of muscle, yeah, that's going to be your new mayor. I mean, and so who's your new mayor? And you're like, wow, did I really elect that? Or did I really sort of find myself there? And you're like, as they say, how did I get here? In other words, you find yourself unhappy, or part of you is feeling like, you know what, this doesn't really suit me, or part of me is really moody, affected, or unhappy about certain stuff. And I'll tell you, a lot of it is erroneous messaging that is filtered in and then reinforced so heavily by a culture, a company, a society, which has nothing to do with your benefit or your benefactor, or really empowering you, meaning to make it on your own, to be in the presence of your strengths and being respected for that. You see, but no, if a company, a person, an entity is tripping you up, oh, click on this, click on that, or buy this product, or laugh, at my jokes, or buy me this and this gift if you can't afford it, or go ahead and put up and shut up because I've got the vehicle that everyone wants. I mean, how are you really? Why is not part of you caught up? Why is part of you still in the frustration? You have to look through and see what you have accepted, what you have add your permission, and look at those parts of you that have been left behind, because part of that is not in agreement with how you want to live, be, or what is truly, and you might have to part ways with some big societal things like having a suntan. That causes, skin cancer. So in other words, certain pressures that you find yourself, that you're not acceptable, you can't be accepted as you are, and you have to fake it, fake it, fake it. That creates a lot of stress, anxiety, and lack of trust in your environment. As if everything is like an emotional minefield. Why live that way? This is people who are putting way too many challenges on you. And, it's generally, when you evaluate toxicity, it's because they're always trying to, generally you can evaluate it because, do you feel uncomfortable? Eventually, when you really look at it, is part of you feel not really accepted, but you have to do something, say something, coddle something in order to be in it, or can you be yourself and be empowered from that? In other words, I truly feel this way, I need this, or I need to right this wrong, or I don't want to be treated this way, or I really need this momentum and miracle in my life to feel like I have reward and excitement and thrill in all the fun and good stuff in my life to like really get it moving. It's just like, it's an emotional fibromyalgia where people hurt all over. That's what it's like, chronic pain. And so people who are in these, very high pressure situations, it's like a chronic pain that they are fueled on, and they might Starbucks it up, they might liquor it up, they might shop it up, whatever it is, but eventually they're on the other side. Part of them is still needing that attention and needs to be tuned into. And it's really as simple as that. But many other, Apple does not promote you, not being into all of their gadgets. I mean, look at their stores. It's as if it's a bar, as if they have a shot of intelligence in the corner. If you don't have this look or this way, you know what I'm talking about. I'm, whatever. Let's say I have an Apple, and let's say I do it and you accept me and I'm talking about it. What I'm trying to say, toxicity, well, it'll cause you to be manipulated in a way that's not beneficial for you, to be in agreement or alignment with that which is too stressful, burdensome, or ingenuine, which causes you to be disingenuine. What does that mean? What does toxicity require? It means getting along to belong. It means having a tan to be cool. Guess what? You just signed up for the new melanoma research, and you're now not able to make it because you have melanoma, and you had to do that as a teenager. Maybe you're still doing that in the tanning beds, or you've moved to California, in other words, there's these other things. There's all these superficial things that people don't want to look at or evaluate or question for fear that it's lack of popularity, and they suffer because of it. They have body image issues, they are into plastic surgery. One talk is not, isn't good enough, and then it leads to so many more. These people get addicted. and they have no humanity for others. They can't get themselves off of the mirror. If you had a spatula and a pound of Crisco melted, they are on themselves and their image. I don't know how they do it, but these people are the narcissistic and the psychopathic. They want to milk it for what it's got. Flaunt it till you show it. They don't care if it's unsacred to do something, or do something that would, to their body, that would cause them harm or disfigurement. Meaning the plastic surgery, undergoing dangerous things unnecessarily. Living a lifestyle that's built only on luxury and not on value. In other words, it's like, yeah, let's just promote, and they don't realize that they're promoting certain values by that lifestyle. And you don't realize that maybe it's a valueless, and you're finding that there are certain values you need to restore to yourself, and that's the block. So the frustration oftentimes can because you're disabled by the strength that you have without. And how do you get that momentum back up? Because you have to see yourself beyond in wanting it enough. You're needing or wanting a miracle. You're wanting a change. It's real enough. You've got to the point where you're saying, okay, this is where stuck is, and I'm ready for a different change or a way out. I don't want to be stuck in Apple 5 days a week, trying to learn more about this and this, or I don't always want to be faking it at these cocktail parties, or I don't want to be spending this kind of money, or I don't want to be with this kind of company who all I have to do is always be like a support system to them, laughing at them when things aren't funny, etc., etc. Where have you taken a slap on the back rather than a chin up when you needed it? Those are the people who, will give you one slap on the back, but they'll knee you in the knee behind, while they're backing up. These are not your true friends. These are not your true companions, especially in the pandemic. It's kind of important. It really called forth a really certain reset for a lot of people. And, when you look at it, it really called to mind, like, what really is toxicity? I mean, it was the whole thing, like, look how much, when there wasn't all that traffic, remember the clarity and the reduction of smog that was what great things was it done to the earth that day. I mean, what pollutants are. It's something that can't be utilized but needs to be broken down or processed. See, that's kind of like a toxic relationship. There's something that's put out, almost like an ether or a pollutant that you have to process or analyze, and it is causing you trouble, and you're being choked up inside. See, that's when something is not good or beneficial for you. And it takes a lot of courage to say, wow, I really need to step out. But see, a lot of people, they don't know then what is the next step to get to the miracle or the strength beyond it. They don't know. Literally, they don't have the tools. And see, literally, that's where you have to be really resourceful. This is where pulling within is extremely important. Apple isn't going to promote, hey, go acoustic, take off your gadgets for a moment and just take a deep breath. No, they're going to tell you, you're so stressed out. You're trying to text, drive, and do, 2 things a time is not enough. You better do 3 times at once. You better be driving or have automated driving or working on it. You better be texting. You better be speaking on your Bluetooth, and you better be doing a podcast or eating simultaneously. I mean, where did this become the new measure of your worth? That, and a lot of this is fed by the computer programmers who are making excellent livings, by the way, and nothing wrong with technology. I'm not beating that up, but I'm trying to state that you need to be able to determine where this sort of toxicity, meaning narcissism, can be a person, it can be a relationship, it can be an organization, it can be a culture. There can be certain elements that you need to decipher now that you have found yourself on the sort of I've been manipulated end of the stick. You've maybe occurred or something like, man, they really got me there. And I don't want to be living in that pool of mud anymore. It's time to throw out the mud and the mud stick entirely. Stop living, in that frustration and feeling admired in their guilt, their judgment, or something that usually has been falsely pressurized within you. It's a concept of their creation and manufacture. So the narcissist they're so slick that you and the psychopath, they're so slick that you don't notice it. You don't see it coming until you're aware. I love that you're aware. You're acknowledging it. You're seeing it in motion. It's like being a catcher. You've got good eye-hand coordination. Yeah, I got that ball. I'm throwing it back. I did not get manipulated by one guy trying to steal a base, one guy trying to, steal a base over here. I mean, that's what it's always like. I mean, some people thrive in that, but other people, they don't want to live in that sort of high pressure. They find themselves in relationships that they don't have a certain substance or a certain ability to be sort of being able to process certain things as they come up. The relationship is not built that way. They don't allow it. They don't promote it. Apple is not going to say, hey, unplug, get off our technology for a moment and just take a deep breath so you can be at one with yourself. No, they're going to tell you, you need to get a lighter version. You need to get this earpiece and lighter version and Bluetooth, and then you need to get this app and then this speaker that you can then just say, speak to a device instead of a person. And people were ridiculing me for this back in the day. Believe me, Peace and Harmony, I've been ridiculed and still am for more of my thoughts, but then it ends up coming and being accepted. People who roll their eyes, these are not your friends. The people who roll their eyes at you, these are not your friends. These are not people who love or care for you. The people who talk about you behind your back, the people who make a smear campaign, either individual or company, the companies that you support, you might find that it's no longer a lifestyle that you wish to be leading, or you're feeling part of you is left behind. Because part of what's in your environment, what's feeding you a message, which is really important in my book, it's really important for you to really look at and analyze what is all the messaging, especially in your immediate environment. And now your immediate environment has become your phone. It's become your computer. And it's become, you're relating more to these devices, and people are becoming cyborgs. But really, is that what's good for you? Is it to what degree? To what degree do you want to be all that? And to what degree is it truly beneficial? Yeah, if you're in the hospital and you want to see your granddad and you want to use your iPad, and you can't get in there, now that is miraculous. That is awesome. That's a good use of technology. But if you're in a toxic relationship with someone who is trying to make you feel that you're really not quite good enough until as if, or, you'll know, but oftentimes people don't want to give voice to this because they don't want to acknowledge it and be in the out crowd. It's better. Why don't you just smoke and go along with the culture? Why don't you just, do this and this? And, so there's a lot of peer pressure. And especially now, these are not your friends. These are not the companies that have your best interest at heart. It's okay to look at that. So how do you sort of pull up and get to that part of you where you've been left behind? It's usually, it's usually where a need of yours to be listened to or have sort of like communication was not met. It's like there was a significant or B moment in your life where it's like either something happened, you were violated in some way, your boundaries or standards, were violated in some way. So you really need to get super clear and to be not afraid of this, but to understand how what happened here. And people will question themselves the wrong questions. Why am I such an idiot? Why am I so stupid? well, you're going to get a lot of those answers, and then you're going to forever remain dumb. So why aren't you asking, like, why aren't I so successful? Why aren't I so smart? Why aren't I, how did I get to be so peaceful? Like, you should look at the questions you're asking yourself, because oftentimes these questions were not given to you, especially by the narcissist, because it was made to be about them rather than about you. When there was a valid thing there for you, a valid reason. And we need to look at the word valid. Valid meaning true, meaning real. Like, you had a real, valid reason for it to be about you there. You needed something to be about you, and instead it was about them, someone else. And then you always then had to really, you had to, part of the narcissist playbook in identifying is that they always want to be the center of attention. They always want you to be thinking about them, whether it's good or worry. So it is a trauma bond. It is a tug of war. It is not a free interaction. There is a tension, a tug of war, a problem, a hurt, an insecurity, generally of theirs, that's spilling over into your cup. And then you're like, yeah, I'm going to drink a cup of your pain. I'm going to drink a cup of your insecurity. I'm going to drink a cup of your guilt. Or even though I don't know what it is, but you've processed it, and then physiologically. And then you're always sort of thinking about them, worried about them. And then you might have mistaken this by love, because oftentimes these people have looks that are very charming, meaning there's something in their eyes. You're just like, all of a sudden you feel like you could melt into a pool of butter. There's something about them, a je ne sais quoi. Maybe it was the Fonz. Maybe it was Marilyn Monroe. I don't know. John Kennedy, Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Lady Gaga. Who do you lose yourself for? Kenny Wayne Shepherd, the great blues guitarist. Where do they lead you and leave you? The music, it'll lead you and take you somewhere. And sometimes you've been listening to a music at that time, which was that other person, the tune that they had on their radio, which wasn't about you, which was probably over your head, but you had to wade through it emotionally, and you couldn't even see your footing. You were on survival mode. So that's a stressful way of living. That is actually tumultuous, which means it causes a lot of churning and discomfort, like real chocks of like discomfort come up. So that can be tumultuous. And then you're having to process, some other baggage or need. So in other words, you have to, get through the ad before you can get to the product to see what it's going to do for you. You're having to say, you're having to buy in. Yeah, you got to get that tan to be cool at school, to fit in, to show that you have this, or you have that or that. And then so you go and you get the tan to prove and show, but that doesn't have anything to do with anything, but you've been bought into, you fell into a trap or an erroneous value, which has nothing to do with truth. But it can be a societal or a groupthink value that can be instilled, and that eventually, if enough people instill it, it becomes a belief that isn't questioned. Yet, then you got to hang out with the friends that while you're at, 4th of July, and they're like, yeah, we're out here doing melanoma research. I mean, it's just, and you're a volunteer candidate all of a sudden, and you find that you're maybe in a place or a lifestyle that has caused you a lot of damage or confusion or financial loss or grief or something that is too problematic. And part of you wasn't able to be attended to when you had a valid, real need. And that still is there. So, toxic people, they'll leave their sludge on you and they'll possess you for it. Yep, that's my sludge. That's my whatever. And they they'll keep you there. They will take hostages, and they don't, these are not your friends. These are not your lovers. These are not your companions, the people who are mocking or judging others, because they will do it to you. And these are very high maintenance. This causes you to not be able to express and to get momentum in certain places that would be beneficial for you. They cause you to become inhibited, stuck, or not attended to for a valid reason. What does the word valid mean? Okay, we're getting into it. Yeah, I studied English. I am into the root meaning of words because it takes a lot of courage to see clear and empower yourself. It takes a lot of courage to look at things and say, I'm going to get rid of this feeling, this object, this guilt, this person, these thoughts that have been holding me back and have been causing me harm or causing me to feel the part of me isn't all like lined up or good enough, or I'm not really I don't like what I'm feeling, seeing, or having most of the time. So a valid reason. So let's say you've got, you're in your 20s and you're like, you know what? I really want to make this real. I want to have kids. I want to invest in our future, and then, so that's a valid reason. That's something that you bring up. I have a valid reason, meaning valid. Okay. And so we really need, so if you have a spouse that is cheating, they are mistreating you. They are being emotionally aggressive, male or female. Or there's someone in your life who required a lot of attention, and attention could not be put on you. So you kind of were in the shadows when you needed to be rightfully in the spotlight. So, and then here comes this person who needs more attention and will get it because they will demand it. They will require it either by their size, their volume, their screens, and it's usually a way of manipulating, controlling, and this is how they do. This is so they can get through. And if you have a valid reason to have a communication, to address a pain, physical, emotional, spiritual wound, and to say, man, and to whether you're going to address something. But, if you can tell, it's very difficult, because if you're in a relationship with someone, a narcissist who is, meaning it's all about them, psychopathic, etc., they do not like to be challenged. They make you feel, quote unquote, an idiot, as if you were to speak up and ask for something. A narcissist does not like to be challenged. They want to keep their status quo. They want to keep their kingdom. They want to be a queen, a kingdom, a king, a they, a ye, a z, a zay, an it, the shi. They want to, oh, okay, but it doesn't mean that you have to hurt or be destroyed or be less than for them, because that's part of the problem, is that there is a wounded area that is valid. A valid meaning having a sound basis in logic or fact or cognate. So this is not like an emotional thing you're just making up. You have a real valid reason, and the other counterparty, company, whoever this is, they're not giving it back for you. It's not an open, clear channel. They are threatened by you. Yet they seem to put it off on you as if you're too stupid, dumb, you don't fit, and then I don't belong, and it becomes a whole mess, and it becomes low self-esteem. So you have a real that has been told or been taught that it is not real, too much, too sensitive, or so you maybe either had to be an adult too soon, you had problems in your relationship where as a woman, you all of a sudden had to take care of everything, and you had to be the breadwinner and pay the bills and do this and that, and be like the wearing the pants in the relationship. Or you're a male and all of a sudden you found the female in your relationship is wearing the pants way too much, and you're feeling and feminitized, or, demasculinized. That is definitely a tactic that the narcissist or psychopath will use. They will try to feminize or demasculinize a male as a way to sort of get at them, and it causes those stuck, hurt areas that you feel inadequate. And so, but you're not. See, it's just it has nothing to do with truth. It is their concept, their way of controlling and basically shutting people down or out in the moment. That is terrible. That is painful. And you can't tell them, "Oh, that hurt," because you're feeling something oftentimes that it just is a hurt, and you can't communicate it because there isn't a force to reckon with there. That's the real problematic issue, is you cannot have a clear, and you can know. And so don't be led by self-doubt, because the problem is that you have to know true and true and true. And so how do you regain self-trust? How do you regain that strength? How do you catch up? How do you not go nuts? How do you not go insane or like stressed out, or feeling that you're not enough, or that this technology is overwhelmed, or that you're not lovable or kissable or worthy of anything. So especially if you've had too much of these type of people and they're in your inner circle, in other words, you have really not been able to unplug. This can be problematic. And if you're not then living in your strength, this is a very debilitating, and it causes a lot of distress, and it can be a very empty, and you can get through that right away. So that is like the after effect, because in a narcissist relationship or culture, there isn't a two-way flow of communication where there's a true sort of recourse from, "Hey, I need this," and then having that fulfilled. So the narcissist, there won't be an even exchange. At some point, there will become a block. In other words, and it'll just stop there. You'll just hit like a wall wherever it is in the relationship, and then all of a sudden it's just about them instead. And so part of you literally has to shut down or be shut out, and then feeling that so that's the part of you that you need to see the mechanism. Was it a look? Was it a door slamming? Was it a phone call? Was it a phone slamming down? Was it a text? Was it a look where they, shut you down and then you didn't realize it? See, this is how you get made small when you are not. You get made weak when you are not. You get made to feel like an imbecile when you are not. This is their playbook. This is like page 1. You need that? Whoop. Nope, it's about me because I've got what it takes here. You guys are all now part of my kingdom, and they'll do it very quickly. It's very gracefully. And all of a sudden, if people then go along and you don't question them, then you're part of the folly. You're part of the big audience. You're part of the peanut gallery or whatever show that they have. Meaning in your family, you will know if there's a narcissist controlling things. No one can have a birthday, a celebration, without them elbowing, rolling their eyes, making a request, making it all be about them, because they're going to always steal. I don't mean to, steal the thunder. You're retiring, but I'm doing this. And that didn't work out anyway. I don't mean to, steal your thunder. You just got a promotion, but I got this. Hey, even though it's your this, it's all about them. And then they, and then you feel that you're lost, or you can't communicate, or you're fearful. And then, it's a very fearful thing. And then, but it's because it's called social engineering, what I call engineered chaos. This is how fraudsters work. This is what they do. They engineer this from the get-go. It is in their playbook. It is in their chemistry. It is in their identity. They feel entitled. They feel they have the right. They feel they are not doing anything wrong. So because they don't feel, even if they have hurt violated in these ways, caused others to be stuck, left behind, to get them ahead, they don't feel that they did anything wrong. They don't have that sort of valuation system. As long as it got them ahead, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So they leave just this whole wake and trough of people who have an sundry of ailments, conditions, broken hearts, broken bones, confused thoughts, who are forever, either moved on right away because they expose them, or they've been so traumatized that they can't figure it out. They can't get the strength to see it for what it is, and the crumbs that they are. But their crumbs are way too big to make it seem as if that they make a bread of loaf out of a crumb. And you're trying to say, this is the loaf of my being. No, it's not. You've bought into a lie, an erroneous way of thinking, or flawed thinking, or basically judgment. In other words, you're not good enough for me. You can't handle the fact that I won't be faithful to you. You know what? You're not lovable because you won't accept the fact that I'm an alcoholic and I won't be true to you anyway. You know what? This relationship won't work out because I've already got someone else who actually I've already moved in with, and I'm switching the picture. In other words, they have no problem. They have no twinge of feeling of any problems that they have done to others. Just like someone who could just burn up the Amazon and cause a major hole in the ozone, or problematic for a globe. But as long as they are able to raise their cattle, sell it, and you're not petting the cows, you're now just eating them on your plate. That's all they're here for. As long as you're buying into that thinking, all you're seeing is some sort of ground patty. Do you see? I'm not trying to be one way or another, but what I'm trying to show you is that the way through that toxic is to sort of get into a being state. And because being means just to be, and just to be, and just to say, okay, I see, and I can see clearly now that we've got this in the privacy of these videos, and being okay, being the guy who says, hey, I don't want to go on with this, or I think that there's something more. I shouldn't have to be this worried or fearful in this relationship. I mean, some of the heartbreaking things that, or in society, stressed out every day that you don't have a Louis Vuitton backpack, or, some other outside thing. You don't have the right color skin, or maybe your fingernails are too short, or God forbid, maybe you have some other stupid thing that it doesn't have anything to do with your self-worth, but the looks of those around you are not those that evaluate you. So you have to get what they call in psychology an internal locus of control. And you can open up yourself to the relationships and the things that really do help you and meet you where you're at, where you're really like, enough with this. I am not a fool. I am not living a Facebook lifestyle. I am not my phone. I am not my laptop. I am not a gadget, which is named Gabrin LeBron, or I forgot his name now, one of the 100 most influential people of time, talks about this. And you really need to realize that it's kind of like the macro to the micro, to your own self, and realize that there's B states that are important, poignant, and meaningful to you that can fill you up from the inside. Instead of saying, you know what? I resent myself for believing the false lies. I resent myself for putting trust where I should not have, or I did not ask the questions that I should have. I did not challenge the narcissist. I did not challenge the system. I could not get out. I could not get a valid or factual need met. And that is that, and so it is, namaste. And I have come to be at peace with that. And so then from there now, how do I get the miracle in my life? Like, you have to know really precisely, so you might need to do this a couple times, but you need to know exactly what the fallacies were and that you have a strength, and why wasn't that tapped into or valued, or why didn't it, so we need to go there and visit there and say, address those valid reasons and get the word valid into our vocabulary, especially as it describes you. You are valid. You say, I have a valid reason. I have a real reason. I have a valid need. You have a valid need. You have a real need. You have a factual need in that moment, whether or not it was dismissed by a person, place, or thing or event. You have a valid need to tune into, and part of that is still begging and wanting and pining for you to tune into, so that you can recognize it and move forward and get momentum through that. So you're not completely stuck on it like a fish in a fish hook. Like, it doesn't always have you. You don't feel that you've always been taken or got by this. You've been able to either process completely 100% without guilt, without shame, without submission to feeling less than. So if you have, in the privacy of, if you have submitted to feeling less than, you can own that and say, I have, unfortunately, at some point, I bought into the system that I am less than. And that is a belief. That's like, the belief is the light of your being. The belief radiates and illuminates you. So if you have been taught or falsely believed that you are less than, who taught you that? I mean, like, where did that come from? And where was that reflected back to you negatively? And where do you need to, like, really shine the light on that and get an adventure of growing in that space? How can you get stable, strong with that moment and go, oh my God, did I have a valid need at that moment? And that person totally checked out. They were not there. They were, excuse me, just getting through some allergies here. In the Peace and Harmony studio, we have totally, we are cleaning things up, and we're really like honing down. I'm getting the elements down of my book, but I want to address this question here in terms of looking at those valid needs. And so what do you need to do to revisit? What were the valid needs that you missed out on? If you can write that right now, 1 through 10, valid needs. I needed to be listened to in that moment. I needed to stop going along with things at that moment. I needed to really recognize that this was hurtful behavior and address that at that moment. So, and then you can write down, what was that hurtful behavior? To really look at it. And I believe really in writing, what was the hurtful behavior? They lied to you. They were absent. They were missing. They were not there. They ignored you. They cheated on you. They were on drugs. They were on alcohol. They were doing this. They were doing that. They were on their vacation that they told me that they were on a meeting. Or they told me that, that I was their one and only, and you found out that was not true. Or you lost your job and then they wanted to divorce you. Like little things like that you found that were valid things that you did not get attended to. And so really you have to get those and be in those places and put some like warmth and presence and being in that and go, what was specifically going on? So if you can say there was a door slam, there was someone yelling, there was someone telling me I was unlovable, and sort of cementing that into my being. So what was cemented? So cement, that's, if like the mafia, do this or you're going to swim, with the fishes or whatever. If something was meant to sort of drown you out or drowned you or was like a lead weight, yet you should have been able to have presence in those lead weight moments. In other words, what was the cause of that sort of very density when it should have been more energetic, nurturing, uplifting, understanding, or even just validating? They should have just said, this, or if they just apologized, so you really need to look at it and then look at it very clearly and say, what need was I missing out on? Was it a verbalization? Was it so that I could then focus on what I needed and really understand how that went on into your life? Like, how did it really take a trajectory? And then from now, we're going to say, okay, so that was then, and then that was then. But that's totally not in the present quantum field of energy. When you're in a B state, you're just in a B state. And you can reflect and get into the role of, what they call in psychology, metacognition, or your ability to think about what you're thinking about and say, wow, well, and then have compassion for yourself. I feel in those moments, wow, that child, wow, that man really needed. Wow, that woman really needed. Wow, that young man really needed. Wow, that young woman really needed. And then that meaning you. And so that part of you, that young boy, that young girl. And then to realize, where those needs were. And then if you can then see that those needs being met sort of in those moments. And then so them saying, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have slammed the door. I shouldn't have slapped you. I shouldn't have ignored you. You're not going to hear that from a narcissist. So you need to verbalize it from a humanity and compassionate, so you can really process what you should have heard with a valid reason. Yes, let's take a look at our relationship. Yes, let's take a look at our homework. Yes, let's take a look at our finances. Yes, let's take a look at our family. Yes, let's take a look at our workplace. Yes, let's remove, you don't have to be treated this way. Because if you feel that, you'll continue to perpetuate and find that you're always then attracting those people who will be energetically responding to that core erroneous negative belief within you. If you're not enough. So then you'll find people who will treat you as if you're enough. Your bank account will say this. You'll make decisions that reflect that. So you really need to clean that up. And if that has come as an after effect of this relationship, then you can see the toxicity for where it was. And a lot of people, they get addicted to the toxic, just like cigarettes. I mean, you're putting something toxic, but people come addicted to that feeling. So you can be addicted to always trying to people please or figure out. It can get you stuck or stifled. But yet if you have good self-esteem, it'll lead you to another transcendent place. Really where you're able to be okay rather than not be enough. I mean, bottom line, if you can be there and be okay, all the evaluations or false judgments, and then see yourself receiving or give to yourself now what it is that you were missing in that moment. You needed a hug. You needed an understanding. You needed the truth. You needed a spouse. You needed a lifestyle, and then you might need to find that you need a detox in your life right now, meaning you need to stop doing a certain thing because it's not beneficial for you anymore. And you might need to stop that harsh judgment of yourself. So it might be a physical behavior as well as a mental behavior. And instead, work on, what do you want? Do you want a miracle? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to feel better? Even if it's little baby steps. How do you unplug and then plug into you? Excuse me. How do you do that? How do you get beyond? You have to see yourself and want it. You have to tap into, I believe in miracles, or I believe, yes, that this is, this is the way to strengthen. And I'm not going to be discompassionate to myself anymore, because that's what toxicity does. It causes you to be discompassionate to yourself and feel out. You're not cool. you're not in, or you're less than if you don't. So that's just their program that they want you to buy into. Just like anything else, you might find you're compatible with a different system, and you thrive and shine, and that's who you are. You might, have a true need to just walk and enjoy the sunshine and enjoy nature, but that, Apple wants you to put a filter, put a date, do all this other thing, and you're promulgating their system. Yet you might, you're promulgating more than narcissist. It's time to promulgate you and your system. What do you truly need, even though you didn't want to admit it before? And, like, I really do need a stronger sense of self. I really do need to have compassion for myself. I really do want to stop feeling evaluated and judged. I want to stop from living under the magnifying glass. I want to say that it is supposed to be this way. And if I feel a void was created, in other words, a need for purity, a need for understanding, a need for that liberation. And so then, is that need still with me today? Yes. Then let's fulfill it. What is that need? I have a need to strengthen myself spiritually. I have a need to be loved. I have a need to be accepted as I am. I need to stop this crazy making, this crazy lifestyle, this winning or losing. That's, and stop being always thinking about da. You might need to acknowledge that. See, this is what they do. And we're going to wrap it up here in a minute. It is because they will break people down. And I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a stomach ache with my stomach issue. So they will try to gain control by having you always thinking about them. That's certainly what a psychopath, someone without a conscience, will do. When they want to manipulate someone, they will become all of a sudden the knight in shining armor, the nitrous in shining armor. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'll save your ratings. I'll save your self-esteem. I'll save your sense of masculinity. I'll save this company. All you have to do is listen to me, always focus on me. And then instead of it being about the company or you or the relationship, it ends up always being about them. And then you find that you're then, as I say, you've got your ladder, up the wrong tree. When you find out that they've got all sorts of other, they now own this tree, and then you can't get your ladder back down because you're stuck, and you found that they did other things, and there ain't no promises anymore with the, there isn't any substance there. And that is very sad. People with a lot of money, I think, will find themselves there when they are really in deep with these relationships and have a very difficult time extricating themselves from this, meaning removing from that suffering way of being thinking, because they've allowed the narcissist, the psychopath, to sort of arrange their thinking for them, which and certainly that is your inalienable truth, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And what does that mean to you? But see, you need to be able to then reflect on certain things, and then really truly getting those needs met and saying, poop, peace and harmony, I got it. I need to have more compassion for myself. I need to do a little jig. I need to do a little dance. I need to do a little whatever it is for myself. I need to do a walk in nature. I need to take off this. I need to remove that. I need a better circle here. I need to fill myself up with this. And I need to figure this out and go on this path and ask better questions now. Why am I so successful? Why am I so happy? Why am I at strength of being? Why am I in a love relationship that I felt lost before? And start asking these new questions. Why am I, and then the positive. Why, how did I get to be so happy? How did I get to be so strong? How did I make my needs met? And how do I make my needs met? And focus on those questions. And don't be worried by all the circus play that in child's play that the narcissist and psychopath will occupy themselves with, because they're trying to keep you preoccupied, and then you're missing out on all the juice and good stuff of your life, or having these pitfalls that really you don't want to have as a pitfall experience or emotion. So really get beyond it and realize those are not your pitfalls. Those, in those moments of crisis, are opportunity and for you. And it's not too late to regain it now. The narcissist, psychopath, it's too late for you. It's, you're not in, whatever. That's not true. That is flawed thinking. That is erroneous thinking. That is their projection of wanting to promote their own situation. And usually how they do that is by negating or downcasting others. So it's very easy to walk over others and say, oh, wow, or kick them and say, wow, how come you can't function? You're so hurt. Because you just kicked me, because you just did this. It's a predetermined, pre-calculated, predetermined. It does not mean you're inadequate. This is just what they do. Stop evaluating that you are less than and you're forever plagued by this. That is flawed thinking. So let's look at feeling anew. Let's look at slowly, bit by bit, visiting that space and going, you needed, I needed, and then getting very up close and personal with that and saying, I got it, this is what I need, and I'm going to give that very element, that very elemental to me right now. So if you just learned and discovered right now, I need to focus on swimming, then and getting myself in shape, then you need to do that right now. If you just discovered, I really need a pick-me-up, and you need to go search that. And whatever it is, you need to eat better. You need to feel better about yourself. Then you need to go and do this. You need to take the action steps. And it's starting now, and it's starting today, and so it is. And you're okay to leave that and let that go and sort of be able to get rid of the remnants of that. And if you can come to peace and acceptance, to what degree am I willing to get rid of certain components, or to what degree am I going to hold on to certain components and I'm going to be okay with? And to what degree then do I want to allow myself to reconstruct strength, or do I want to deconstruct and always sort of live in sort of this sort of self-sabotaging manner? And then how do you diffuse that? Oh, I don't want to live this way anymore, peace and harmony. I don't want to have this fear. I don't want to have this agitation. Then stop slamming the silverware drawer. I mean, I can't tell you, how many people, it's just, this is the type of thing that they do. They slam things on their day-to-day. They're angry, they're aggressive, they're violent, they're inconsiderate. I mean, and they just sort of cut in front of you. Advertising can do the same. You're less, and they'll only keep you on the screen, especially now with society. I feel that especially now, like, it's really going to become, people, they're going to create a lot more of this division unless you really realize that that's not something you want to participate in, that you're fully functioning and strong, and you can satisfy your needs other ways. You can use technology to get there, but you don't have to become distracted by all the erroneous engineered distractions. I mean, advertising, you can't even click on your phone without inadvertently getting on an advertisement and saying, how did I get there? Well, you just breathed on it. Your finger moved over 2 more millimeters. And so this is how advertising works. And then that person gets paid by human error. So do you see what I'm saying? You really have to. And some people say, oh, I accept this. Well, to what degree are you then accepting and accepting and accepting and accepting? And to what degree do you believe you deserve and have? And so can you then own those true needs? And instead of it being a void, can you be compassionate? I need warmth. I need understanding. I need to not be lied to. I need to not be, whatever. I need someone with empathy. I need compassion. This is what I need. And I own this. And you own this. And as you do that, then you can come to being and either make light of it, be funny. So, oh my God, or maybe you're like still very serious. Peace and harmony. I need to go on my recovery date and really work on this and do it consistently on the daily right now. So why do you find peace and strength today? Why and how do you find peace and strength today? This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate. And for goodness sake, please like. If you like this, please hit the like button. And if you want more content like this, then definitely hit the subscribe button so you can get more content like this, more exercises, and you can get more happiness and lightness of being in your day-to-day lifestyle. Have a beautiful day. Love ya.